Good evening and welcome to Cherries Red Army. I've got some of the team with me. We'll get introduced in a moment. We've had a bit of a break after that Goodison Park result. We survived in the Premier League, but it's time for our end of season awards 2022-2023. And to keep some order on this stream, we have limited it to subscriber only in the interactive chat. Your votes count, but you have to be one of our 1.6k subscribers. Yes, 1.6k. You did it. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done. 1,600 subscribers. Well done. So yes, you're going to get your opportunity this evening to give your votes. We've got 4 categories. We've got quizzes involved. We've also got lots of laughters, lots of debates. Let's go around the room. Like and subscribe. John, you beat the drop. We beat the drop. How you doing, mate?
Yes, thank you very much, Kirk. Yes, it was. Those videos were such fun to be involved in. And if you haven't had the opportunity to look at any of them, and you've forgotten what it's like to be in school and have the kind of banter that there is at secondary school, then I would go and have a look at some of those because they were great fun to be involved in. But hopefully we won't need to worry about something like that next season. But we'll see. That's just fingers crossed for now.
You might think it's not quite formal. Mark Singleton thinks Steve looks very dapper. Steve Hensman, how are you? Is it quite formal? You look a little bit formal.
I've tried to be as formal as I can be. It's an awards ceremony, and as this is kind of a little bit of a sort of parlay to Simon Kaye, who's put on Twitter earlier that are we wearing black ties? So I thought I'm not going to dress up in a suit, but I'll put my Bournemouth shirt on and put a black tie on. You know, sort of suits it.
You've made an effort, so
well. I've even got the glasses on, so I look slightly more intelligent.
I was going to say the glasses do it as well.
Yeah. I'm just getting to that age, John, where I can't read anything anymore. So yeah, and it's because it's the awards night, and I've got to actually read things out, so I better have them on. Otherwise, I'll be reading the blurs.
I think I should get my glasses.
And may I say, John, sorry, those beat the drop videos were excellent. I did watch quite a number of them, and they were really good fun. And I do, yeah. If anyone else wants to watch them, they're brilliant. They're really, really banterful the whole way through. It's great to see everyone sort of having a dig at everybody once they lose them or beat them or whatever the scores were the week after. It's brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, but I'm great. I'm nicely led out of my bed. So if you see me adjusting myself tonight, it's not because I'm just fidgety. It's because I'm suffering with a bit of sciatica. Many people will know that I've had a bit of bad back, so I'm very comfortable here, but I might get a bit fidgety.
Yeah. We didn't see you at Everton, which was a shame because you pretty much don't miss a game. But you're here with us this evening. Do let us know if you're a fan, joining us in the interactive chat. If you're a subscriber, you can get involved. And our final guest for this evening, he is very busy during this part of the season. He's our Cherries Red Army journalist. It's Aaron Kaye. How you doing, mate?
I'm very good, actually. I was the only one that actually read the official memo where you're not allowed football shirts at these award ceremonies. So, yeah, and I'm doing good. Quite happy to I'm missing the football, but I'm quite happy not to do the mileage at the moment. So, it's a restful couple of weeks. Yes, many to come, but I'm all right at the minute.
And thank you to Mark, Carol and Lee, who have already let us know that you are in the chat and you're getting involved in the end of awards evening tonight. And not with us this evening is Matt Davies. He's got work commitments, but he's very much involved. He's given us his vote for some of the categories. So we've got lots going on tonight. We have got 4 categories. You're going to have your opportunity to vote. We've got a little quiz. And guys, we've got what we're calling the good, the bad and the ugly of Premier League 2022-23, which can include Bournemouth if you want. So we'll also squeeze that in as well. Look, let's start off with this. I'm actually going to ask for you guys in the room and in the stream of the chat to let me know what you think in about half an hour's time. But let's get this out nice and early. Right, guys, guess the players. This is a little quiz that you can think about for the next 20 minutes. Top 3 players who started the most Premier League games for the 2022-2023 season. So 20 minutes to think about it. Guess the players. Top 3 players started the most Premier League games. Started the most, not the most.
Bournemouth or generally?
Bournemouth. Started the most Premier League appearances this season. Right, so I think, guys, it's time to get on with our first award, and that is for Goal of the Season. Going over to you, Aaron Kaye, for the Goal of the Season nominations for the fans in the chat to vote on.
Nominations for Goal of the Season are: number 1, Phil Billings' goal at Nottingham Forest, the first goal in that amazing 3-2 comeback. Goal number 2, Dom Solanke's team goal away at Fulham in the first minute or two, I believe. Number 3, Marcus Tavernier's goal at home to Fulham, which ended up turning the game round for us in a huge match. And number 4, Matthias Wiener's goal at home to Chelsea. Alas, it yielded no points, but a fabulous goal indeed. So Billings, Solanke, Tavernier, and Wiener.
And you can either say the player's name, that should give me the vote, or you can choose the number. And to start us off, we are going to put the votes in of the Cherries Red Army team. So let's get us going. John has gone for Tavernier goal at Fulham 2-1. Matt has gone for Tavernier goal, Fulham. Steve has gone for Vigna against Chelsea at home. Aaron has gone for Dominic Solanke's goal away at Fulham 2-2. And I have gone for Marcus Tavernier's goal at Fulham 2-1. So get your picks in the chat right now. And Steve, you've gone for the wonderful wingback, shall I say, in Matthias Vigna. We might think about signing him if we can get the right deal on the table. Good little move, this one, involving Ryan Christie. Matthias Vigna is your pick.
Yeah, and that's why I picked it. It's because it's more of a team goal, I think, than Dom Solanke's. And that's, if you watch it back, and I didn't realise this at the time when I saw it, when I was watching it live, but there's about 4 or 5 people involved in that move. And it's all little intricate interplay, 1s and 2s, movement off the ball, and it's really lovely to watch it. And it's finished off with one hell of a strike. I mean, so that's why I'm picking that one. I think it's very easy to pick a goal that's just a bit of a wonder strike, but the build-up play and the wonder strike at the end, I think, is why I opted for that one.
Yeah, just like me, I did like that goal, but I didn't pick that goal. I actually went for Marcus Tavernier's goal.
The only thing that lets it down is it had no importance, and that's the only thing. But as aesthetically pleasing, that's the one for me personally.
Was it the equaliser as well? I'm trying to think. Did we get back to 1-1 with that?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, it was.
Marcus Tavernier, I went for. I can remember Tavernier coming off the bench against Fulham at home. We were so bad in that first half, so bad. And Tavernier come off the bench, and he just had a magnificent second half, scored that worldie, but he kicked us on and he gave the team belief to go and get a win against Fulham, a Fulham team that had no Mitrovic and no Willian, and had troubles the week earlier in the FA Cup against Manchester United. Big win for us, guys, that Marcus Tavernier goal. But just a really good goal as well. As a winger, not as good as Marcus Tavernier. I do like goals like that where you just cut in and go for the top corner. Aaron, you've gone for Dom Solanke at Fulham. It was a 2-2 draw at Craven Cottage. We probably should have got more on the day, but it was a good, well-worked move again involving Dom Solanke. Needed to think quite fast, actually, when it come to him inside the box. Early goal as well in the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're all great goals. And like Steve said, I think I just wanted to go for something a little less obvious. The actual finish itself obviously wasn't as good as obviously Tavernier's and Vigna's were. But yeah, it was just a great move. I remember it coming down the left-hand side pretty much all the way from the back, and it was some one-touch stuff. And it was just an all-round team move. And actually, it was also actually a very good finish from Dom, a real poacher's finish, which I'd love to see more often from him. So yeah, all round with the striker finishing it in the first minute away from home. Yeah, I just love that whole move.
John, give us your opinion on your vote, but also no votes for Philip Billing. I mean, what a big goal that was at Nottingham Forest when we were 2-0 down at half-time.
Yeah, I was just thinking about making sure to give some credit to that goal because it's one of the games I was at. It was the first game of the season I was at, if I remember correctly, and yeah, just particularly from that game that we, the way we played in that game up until the half-time point, to sort of really kickstart the rest of the half, and that was because it was looking okay in the second half of that. We were sort of getting control of the match, but we didn't look like scoring. And then suddenly Billing just pile drives it in from 25 yards ish, and it came out of almost nowhere. I think we win the ball high up. Cook passes it to him, and bang! It was just in the back of the net before you could even blink. And I suppose the reason that it's just not quite as special for me as Tavernier is that Taverniers was top bins. It was right in the corner. It was just slightly more aesthetically pleasing, I think. Whereas Billings was just like, that is so strong, you're never saving it, and it was not in the corner at all. It was just such a strong hit. It was one of the most important goals for us of the season, probably, in terms of getting some belief going. But yeah, in terms of a one-off goal, I just felt, and I was very close to voting for Vinya because of the team move in it, but I just think Taverniers was just as a one-off moment, just unbelievable.
Heather also put in the chat, I bet no one voted for Philip Billing. No, we didn't, but we put a special mention in there. And now your nominations, your picks are going to go towards the winner of the goal of the season. In fourth place is Philip Billing with 1. In third is Dominic Slanky with 1. With 2 is Matthias Vinya, and Tavernier does walk this one in first place. So Tavernier wins goal of the season. Now, Marcus Tavernier can be with us this evening, but I did contact him in advance, and I did ask him
on satellite link.
Absolutely, and from a beach somewhere in the world, Marcus Tavernier sent me a photo to celebrate his win goal of the season. So thank you to Marcus Tavernier. He is a very happy man. He is a Bournemouth player. He's going to score many goals next season. He is very happy from a beach somewhere in the world.
How's your hamstring?
Holidays.
I'm loving the fact that he goes on holiday in his full kit.
His full kit, yeah.
It's warm weather. Warm weather's going to do his hamstring the world of good. So that's
Brilliant.
Our first category done for the moment. We'll come to our next category in a moment, but we're also going to introduce the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, this can be for the Premier League in all, 22, 23, anything in the Premier League. It can be Bournemouth. You can tell us in the chat what you think the good, the bad, and the ugly has been for the Premier League 22, 23. Aaron, firstly, I'm going to come to you and get the first good, bad, and the ugly in this stream this evening.
So I've gone veered away from Bournemouth on this one and kind of looked at the Premier League as a whole. And the good for me is Newcastle and Eddie Howe. So I guess there is a Bournemouth link there, clearly. I mean, you know, people have talked about all the money Newcastle have got, but he didn't really spend a huge amount of money. He got the best out of some of these players. I've seen some ridiculous Twitter feeds earlier claiming that, you know, he's actually bought his way to the Champions League, which is just ridiculous. Just watching him, I just get exceptionally jealous of the Newcastle fans. I think it was the last day of the season when he was really like, you know, giving it like this to the Newcastle fans, and I was just like, that's just not fair. You know, he can't possibly feel for them
that massive flag of him.
What he feels for us, but no,
Would
look,
we
obviously
fit a flag like that in our stands?
Well, that's what we said at the time, wasn't it?
No.
It'd take up most of our stand.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was just a delight to see, number one, another team breaking into top 4 rather than the normal 4 or 5, and the fact that it's Eddie. It was just brilliant. I just love watching Newcastle play this season. So that's my good.
What's your bad for this season?
My bad, and it's a topic which is obviously talked about time and time again, is VAR, because I still think it's just horrific. And it, as has been said, it's the actual technical VAR side of it is absolutely fine. It's just the interpretation. There are people, supposed professional referees and supposed respected officials who just are ruining the game, and the inconsistencies, you know, not just around Bournemouth, because obviously we can talk about the fact we've been hard done by so many times this season on VAR, never got a penalty, and some of the bizarre decisions against us. But it's just in every game you see the inconsistencies.
Yeah, it's not just us, is it? Yeah.
No, one game's a handball, one game's not. One game's a penalty, one game's not. this clear and obvious. The referee, it's just the whole thing's an absolute nonsense, and it's just I'd love them just to scrap it. It's clearly never going to happen. It's never going to go away. I hate it. I think 95% of fans probably hate it because it's not being used in the way that it should be used. So that for me is still bad, and it's just I just can't stand it.
So if that's bad, what the hell is ugly?
Well, it's a difficult
what you said
one.
earlier now.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat that because I took that literally. Like, what is the ugliest part of it? And I'm not going to repeat that. Fancy League did that earlier in the season and got an absolute rollicking from the Nottingham Forest board. But anyway, so when it comes to ugly, I think I'm going to go for Frank Lampard's managerial credibility because
wow,
lovely bloke, England legend, brilliant footballer. But the guy got sacked by Everton. He then got rehired by Chelsea. He's won one game in like the last 22 Premier League games. Not going to say who that was against, but anyway. Apart from beating us, they literally hadn't won in like 20. He's got a most horrific record, and maybe Frank should just earn his money as a pundit because I'm sure he's got a lot of very respected views. He's been there, done it, and clearly knows a lot about football. But yeah, it was a struggle to think of something for this one. But I just think it's a shame how it has worked out for him. Obviously, from a Chelsea point of view, he went there quite safe because he was never going to get any stick from them. But yeah, where he goes from here, his managerial career, I don't know.
Thank you very much for your good, bad, and ugly. That's Eddie Howe and Newcastle for good, VAR for bad, and Frank Lampard for the ugly management that gave us 3 points just for the World Cup, we must add. But it is time for us to go into our next category of the evening. And this time, it's your moment of the season. And for your nominations, it's over to Jon Spark.
So, your nominations for moment of the season are the second half comeback versus Forest, as I think a number of us were there for. Still my favourite away day ever. Absolutely. The limbs in that match were unbelievable at the end. Number 2 is David Brooks' return at Villa. It was obviously not his first start, but he did get a full, a proper start against in the last 2 games of the season. But his first appearance in over 550 odd days for Bournemouth was coming on as a substitute away at Villa in our 3-0 loss. Number 3 is Dango Ouattara's winner at Spurs. If I was there, that probably would be my favourite away day. But what a moment that was. Just even he didn't know how to celebrate that one because it's the worst knee slide celebration there's ever been in the history of football.
The wrong fans as well.
Yeah, that too. But the goal itself and the moment was unbelievable. And then lastly, number 4, the second fastest goal in Premier League history is scored at the Emirates by Philip Billing in just barely over 11 seconds, which let's ignore the second half of that game. But what an incredible moment that one was.
So you can shorten your choice. I'm sure I'll pick up what you're voting for, or you can vote for the number. Let's go to the votes from Cherries Red Army. I went for Ouattara's winning goal at Spurs. Steve went for Ouattara's winning goal at Spurs. Guess what? Aaron went for Ouattara's winning goal at Spurs. Matt also went for Ouattara's winning goal at Spurs. I'm going to say this in my sleep tonight. And John went for Ouattara's winning goal at Spurs. Do get your votes in the chat. And firstly, John, you have a way of saying certain names and you just, no one says it better. Can you just say Ouattara? Because it is fantastic how you say it.
Although I do that, I've been saying his first name wrong, really. I've been saying Dango, which is not right. Is no. Dongo, which is because it's French. It should be Dongo, but it's Ouattara, which is say water in a weird way and then add the A on the end. It's. I'm just one I like accents and I like saying things in their native way. It's just me, is how I've been brought up. But yeah, as I mentioned, what a moment that was. I had unfortunately that somewhat spoiled for me. I have a terrible habit of having Twitter up and refreshing too frequently whilst I'm also sort of keeping an eye on the match, and managed to get spoiled on that one before it actually happened. But then just to see the build up of it, knowing that it was going to happen, and then just be like, how on earth are we scoring this late in the game? We've already been pulled back to 2-2. Every single Bournemouth fan is currently going through PTSD of losing goal leads against Tottenham and Arsenal already this season, and leads from really good positions. Like, please just get a point. And then out of nothing, it's 3. Oh, Fletch, did you say it's Dan Gonzalez? Oh, okay, maybe unwittingly correct. But it's it was just unbelievable moment. It really was, and unsurprising that so far basically everyone has voted for it.
Now, lots of votes going in for Woutara. Steve, you were there. Unfortunately, I wasn't. I was watching it on Gillette Soccer Saturday, whatever they call it now, Streamlabs, whatever they call it. I couldn't believe it when I saw the scoreline come up, and you were there. You must have absolutely lost yourself completely.
Yeah, it wasn't a nice. Well, obviously it ended up being a lovely, amazing atmosphere and a great moment, but it was that feeling of an inevitability that we had, knowing that Spurs were pushing. They'd missed a couple of very good chances prior to that. I think it was Richarlison had a really good header, put it wide, and we were thinking, oh Christ, this is going to be another Arsenal, another Leeds, another Spurs at home. We're going to throw this away. And then the inevitable happened, and they got that equaliser, and we're just so downbeat. The whole mood of we were giving the Spurs fans lots that game because they were all around us. They were above us. They were side to side of us. And then so late on in the game, we concede that goal. But then that down moment turned into such a high moment. Within the moment the ball bounced, and you knew what Don was going to do. He was going to use his body weight. I think it was Pedro Porro. He sort of used his body weight, leant into him, knocked him off balance, got the ball, and the rest is history. Played it inside. Dango cuts inside, does a Mark Pugh, and slots it in the corner, and we go ballistic. It was just one of those things, and it's a shame you guys weren't there, because it was. I still don't know which one I put. I think I do actually prefer this one to the Forest one. It was the fact that you felt you'd lost it so late on, and then you won it again. But for me, it's the standout moment of the season by far. Hello?
I think maybe. Oh, Kirk's connection. He's back. Are you with us, Kirk?
I don't think he is.
Nope. I'm back.
There we go.
It's frozen. I am back. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
We love a live stream. We love a live stream where the internet just decides to cut out for 10 seconds. Aaron, Nottingham Forest though, a great comeback. Again, I wasn't at that one. I was away with my wife.
Don't come next season to away games.
I know.
Please.
Absolutely. I had to wait till Leicester for an away win. I remember going into the cinema and we were 2-0 down, thinking that's done. Coming out of the cinema, we watched Maverick and it was 3-2, and I couldn't believe it. You were messaging me. Other people were messaging me. Obviously not going to win this award, but a great comeback earlier on in the season.
Yeah, brilliant day. That was. At that time, Forest were kind of just like giving it all against us, and it was just 2-0 down. We were just really despondent, thinking, "Blimey, we're going to lose to Forest. This is really not looking good." And as we mentioned earlier, Phil Bild pulled something out of nothing, and I kind of want him to shoot a lot more often than that. Not just him, but everyone. If you don't shoot, you don't score, and we don't often shoot from range enough for me. But yeah, so that was great. And then obviously the equaliser from Dom, whenever your striker scores, like an overhead kick was brilliant. And then, yeah, that was just, it wasn't about 8 minutes to go, I think, wasn't it? Or was it? I can't remember how far it was
to go. Quite a similar ending as well, wasn't it? Because it's sort of Dom
right near the end.
robs somebody.
Yeah,
the ball,
it was very similar.
square.
I remember thinking Jadon Anthony, like, just don't think about it, don't balloon it over. He just slotted it in, and that was just brilliant to win that game. But yeah, I mean, Spurs was just, it did eclipse it. It was absolutely the perfect away day. I think if you could write a script, because it was a hot day, sun was like beating down on us, and unexpectedly, took the lead, and having gone a goal down early on, from Son again, wasn't it? And I was like, here we go, this could be another 4 or 5-0 job, like we always get at Spurs away. I know so many Spurs fans, and I was just like, everything about it was just brilliant, because then obviously we went 2-1 up, and then as Steve said, that inevitability of them scoring, and then all of us were just saying, well, we've got a few minutes now to hold on.
Take a point.
Be holding on. Yeah, 100%. Please get out of it with a point. And then yeah, well, I'm just laughing because I just remember it came to it. I thought it was Jadon Anthony at the time, and I just remember thinking, because it was a typical Anthony kind of cut in and slotted it in. My two boys ended up literally 3 rows in front of us.
I think one of my kids ended up topless. He was like had his shirt off doing this.
It just sums it up. I just remember the back of the net vlog actually, where like everyone was going mental, and Sam's like, "Who's lost glass? Who's lost some glasses?"
Yeah, that was me. I found some bloke's glasses.
And it just sums up, because you just don't care in that moment. And I was next to David Codron actually, and it was just, we were just going mental. And I just remember saying the first time, I was like, there can't be any time left, surely. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Tara's first goal, composure, absolutely outstanding, and just has to be the moment of the season.
I'll tell you what's also good. Did you see all the compilation videos that were put out on YouTube of all the Spurs podcasts? The watch-alongs that Spurs were doing. There's about 3 or 4 of them.
Absolutely brilliant.
And there's a compilation. Yeah. Somebody's put them all together in one video. If you can find it, it's an excellent watch.
It's gold.
There's another one with the Spurs one where they got battered at St James's Park, and there's another one like that.
That was good. I remember watching those as well.
So we'll put some special mentions in there for the second half comeback against Nottingham Forest. David Brooks' return, what a warrior. I'm sure he'll be a big player for us next season. The fastest goal, Emirates. I was there. We were 2-0 up. We lost the game in the end in the 98th minute, but it was a positive game for us. It actually took us on that trajectory to go and get some positive results after that, actually, that result at Emirates, or loss, but performance. But the runaway leader in the moment of the season, with you in the chat, with the Cherries Red Army votes as well, is Dango or Dongo Wu Tara. So you're taking moment of the season. Now, Dango Tara couldn't be with us this evening, unfortunately, but I did message him, and he did kindly, because he was so over the moon, send me a few messages.
Happy Cherries.
Fantastic, Dango. And how did you feel when you scored that goal right at the death at Tottenham?
Happy Cherries.
And how are you feeling about looking forward to next season?
Happy Cherries.
As you can see, Dango Tara is very, very happy, and he's going to be a big player for us, guys. And he loves the Cherries. He absolutely loves the Cherries.
Do you reckon he can become the new local man?
Just about to say that.
There you go. Great minds, John.
What, like this?
Happy Cherries.
I think it fits.
He's trying to be old Jonathan Woodgate, isn't he?
So we are 2 categories down. Thank you for joining us on this end of season awards stream. Do hit the like button. Do subscribe if you're new around here. If you're watching this back on replay, do tell us your thoughts in the comments. We'll stop with the categories for the moment, because I did ask you a question, guys, about the top 3 Premier League most starts. So I don't know if you've written it down, but I do want you to have a guess. John, who do you think the top 3 most starts this season are in the Premier League in Bournemouth?
All 3.
Yes.
Top 3. Lerma, definite. I know that one for certain.
Yeah.
But then for the others, that's a tough one. I am going to say Solanke. I'm fairly confident he's barely missed a game. He's missed a few with injury, but he's still right up there. And then Smith. I think I'll go with Adam Smith. The only one thing is maybe Billing actually instead of Solanke. I'll go with Billing, Smith, and Lerma.
Billing, Smith, and Lerma. Steve, what's your 3 picks for most Premier League starts this season?
Mine was exactly the same as what John's just started with. I know for a fact that Jeff's had the most, and I can't remember Billing missing too many games, or Smith for that matter. I know, like John just pointed out, Solanke definitely misses a few, and I think Keeper played a couple of games instead of him.
So Semenyo started at Brighton as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else who would come anywhere close because they've all been in and out in spells. So I can only think of those three, really.
Aaron?
Senesi, he was chopped and changed a bit.
Your top three most Premier League appearances, starts for Bournemouth this season in?
Yeah, I'd go along with that because I was thinking Kelly was out for a spell, wasn't he? For various reasons. Neto obviously had a couple of spells out. Didn't even start the season. Solanke definitely had a few games out. I mean, the likes of Christie, etc., didn't really, in and out of the team. So yeah, I can't think. Mepham obviously started the season, didn't come on. So yeah, the real consistent.
I can't remember Lerma or Billing having an injury either, or Smith for that matter.
I think Billing was out briefly, but I don't think he was out long enough. Smith barely had any time out, I think.
Yeah.
The only other one that would be close, I think, is Neto. But again, he was out. He didn't start the first four. He missed the last one, and I think he had an injury, at least one or two Christmas injury games out. Yeah, in the middle. So yeah, the only other one that would be close is Solanke. But again, he was out for even longer, I think. So I think it's got to be those.
Solanke's the only one that could ever, could be in that three.
Yeah, him or Neto. But I think it's those three.
Okay, let's lock it in then for Philip Billing, Jeff Lerma, and Adam Smith. You're all in sort of agreement with that, aren't you? You're sort of going for that. Okay, agreement. Okay, well, let's do the reveal then, shall we? Started the most Premier League games in the 2022-23 season. Your top three are Jefferson Lerma, Philip Billing,
this game.
Adam Smith. 37 appearances, I think it was for Jefferson Lerma, and I think Philip Billing and Adam Smith had 34.
The irony about that is that one's definitely going, one might be going, the other one might be replaced as a regular. So
yeah,
put a different swing on it then.
Big overhaul.
Thank you for getting involved in the chat on Guess the Players, and the team did very well in the room. Well done. So it's time to move over to our next category, which is Unsung Hero of the Season. And your nominations, over to Steve Hensman.
I'm just waiting for my glamorous assistant to come in and pass me the envelope. No, the nominations are, so we got number one, Chris Mepham, who, he always comes in, does a job for us, and never really puts much of a foot wrong, unfortunately, because of other players and whatnot. He's not been able to keep that place. And you've got Ryan Christie, again, another one of those guys will run his heart out for the team. So good at linking up the play, will chase balls all day long. We've got Marcos Senesi, who I think has been very dependable, very reliable centre back. Even chipped in with a goal. And we've even seen him, taking players on in the opponent's box at times at home. I remember this season. He's certainly got some twinkle toes in those feet. And the last one is, I think, club. Well, he's the club stalwart in Adam Smith, Mr. Dependable beyond all realms. He will play wherever you want him to play, whether it's in a back three, whether it's in left back, right back, wing back. He'll probably play up, up front if you wanted him to, or in goal. So, yeah, those are your four nominations.
Thank you very much, Steve. Do get your vote in the chat. Just put your player's name in there or the number, and I will pick it up. But first of all, we need to get our Cherries Red Army votes on the table for Unsung Hero of the Season. Aaron has gone for Ryan Christie. Myself have gone for Chris Mepham. Matt has gone for Ryan Christie. Steve has gone for Marcos Senesi. And John has gone for Chris Mepham. I am just going to point out here that I have gone for Chris Mepham. And the main reason I've gone for Chris Mepham, guys, is I felt like for the majority of the season up to the World Cup, I was pretty much saying every week, Chris Mepham is our player of the season. Chris Mepham is our player of the season. And even when he came into the team after that, didn't have many appearances, I still don't ever think he put a foot wrong. And he probably deserved more appearances than he actually got in the end. But the fact that I was banging on about him at the start of the season, being player of the season up to that point, I just felt like I could not vote for him. Aaron, coming back to you for the unsung hero, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I went for Ryan Christie. I mean, there's a shout for any of them. I think I love Senesi, absolutely love him. But I think he kind of, apart from a few games, he kind of was up there with, playing quite regularly. Chris Mepham definitely deserves an unsung hero shout because, as you said, Kirk, unlike in previous seasons, I can't actually remember him making a mistake this season at all. And he was just dependable, and he was just unlucky that he got injured, and then Stevens kept his place, and then Zabani obviously came in, and Kelly then came back, and it was just difficult for him to hold his place down. I think it's a big summer for Chris Mepham because, he's going to be 3 or 4, probably fourth choice centre-back at the moment as it stands. But I went for Ryan Christie because I think, as you say, he really came to life after the January transfer window, when I think a lot of us thought he just would be well down the pecking order. The likes of Traore came in, Tara, Brooks was coming back. And he just was like rolled up his sleeves and came back from the World Cup. Well, he didn't go to the World Cup, but he came back after the World Cup, just giving absolutely everything. And he was just an absolute machine. Him and Rothwell together, just the engines of the whole midfield. And obviously he's often criticised for not getting numbers, and that is true. But I've always said that if Ryan Christie got good numbers, he wouldn't be playing for us because, if you add numbers to everything else he's got, he'd be playing a team higher up than us. So I absolutely love Christie. I just remember towards the end of the season in valuable games, he was just holding on to the ball, couldn't get it off him. Great passing. He can't shoot for toffee, but as I said, if he can practice that in the summer, that'll be great, because everything else, he just wears his heart on his sleeve. And you can have all the skill in the world, but if you don't put the effort in, you don't put that that determination and just run until you're literally like a Duracell bunny, then it's not worth anything. So he is an unsung hero because he doesn't get goals, he doesn't get a huge amount of assists, he's never the headline writer. But I'm certainly in that second half of the season, I want when I saw him on the team sheet, I was like, brilliant, because he's not going to give any space or any time on the ball to any of their like danger men, whoever we're playing against. So yeah, big soft spot for Ryan Christie. Again, another big summer for him. Can he compete? But let's see. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Ryan Christie through that spell where we got the win at Leicester. I do think he needs to add numbers. I don't think he can solely rely on his energy and his team play to keep him in this squad, especially if it gets stronger. So definitely got a place in this squad. A lot of love in the chat, John, for Chris Mepham, and I know you think highly of this guy as well. And we can keep going back to that moment at Brentford, and it could have been a fight or flight moment potentially, and it was definitely a fight. Chris Mepham's got his head down. His defending changed under Parker. He's been so much better, and again, I picked him because he was so good for us at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think that Aaron mentioned that he was a bit unlucky that he would maybe get a slight knock. Stevens comes in for a third of a season and performs well enough so that Mepham doesn't get back in the squad, back in the starting lineup. But I think I've said the same thing about Mepham every single time he's brought up. As soon as we stopped asking him to be the guy on the ball at the back and just say, don't worry about passing, just hoof it if you need to and make sure you block everything that comes near you, he became our best defender in terms of purely getting in the way of shots, getting in the way of defenders, making tackles. He's got the most clearances for us this season. He's not made a single error leading to a goal this season. And when you consider the mistake that he made against Brentford, that guy, I don't wish that on even my worst enemy, the kind of feeling that it must have been from that, let alone the kind of social media pile-on that was on him. Even when he eventually did actually have to play left centre-back at some point this season, he didn't look uncomfortable. He actually he kept it incredibly simple, hoofed it when he needed to, and just made sure he concentrated on defending first and foremost. And whilst there are definitely reasons to look at all the nominees here and a few of the others that sort of honourable mentions that we thought of putting in this list but didn't in the end, I just think that Mepham as a player that doesn't get the credit I think he deserves, I think he just tops the list. As much as I feel as though a lot of the players on here maybe don't quite get as much credit as I think they deserve, he tops that for me. And that's why my vote goes to Chris Mepham.
Vote for Chris Mepham from John and Steve. Marcos Senesi come in with a good reputation from the Dutch league, and I was a bit nervous about him early doors. I remember him getting rolled by Jesus against Arsenal. I was like, I'm not sure about this, but it is early signs for him. He has grown into the season. He has had some really good games for us. He's been pretty decent on the ball at times, and clearly alongside Sabani, surely that's going to be the makeup of our spine going into whatever our identity and philosophy will be in the future.
Yeah, I love the way that Aaron just pointed out that it's a centre-back's vote. And you could put Chris Mepham in there quite easily. The reason I didn't put Meps in there is just purely, and it's not his fault, is that he hasn't played as many games. Like you pointed out, beginning of the season, he probably was the most reliable player we had. He was the most unsung, definitely. He made, like John's pointed out, even only playing half the season or whatever he did, still contributed to some amazing stats from clearances and blocks and all the rest of it. However, Senesi did play a lot more than him. So, like you said, when he first came in, it was a little bit, he's got a bit of a reputation. They call him the gladiator. And then the first couple of games, you think, oh, he's not taken to the Premier League that quickly. But then I think once he did, after 2 or 3 games, I think we really saw what everyone was talking about. And what I like about him the most is that he's kind of in that midst of being your old-fashioned hoof-it kind of centre-back to a ball-playing centre-back. He's he's got a bit of both. He will put his head in where it hurts. He'll block. He'll, do all that dirty stuff. But like I said before, I've seen him stride out of the defence, take the ball past a couple of players and play like a lovely through ball. And we just don't. That's. I think from the next level of us, us progressing as a football club, we're going to need to sort of have those sorts of players a bit more, because I think we are going to be playing a little more ball percentage based football. Like I said, even pops up with a header against Arsenal. So yeah, he's my unsung hero. But at the end of the day, they're all unsung. That's why they're in this category. Yeah.
And there was a vote in there for Adam Smith again, and I do like that vote, absolutely. Yeah. And the votes are in, and we are going to announce the winner for Unsung Hero of the Season. In 4th place is Adam Smith. In 3rd place is Marcos Senesi. In 2nd place, close one, is Ryan Christie. And in 1st place is Chris Mepham. So well done to you, Chris Mepham. Unfortunately, couldn't be here with us this evening. Don't think you got my message either, because I haven't got a photo of him on the beach. So well done to you, Chris Mepham, and I do hope you're part of this football team next season. One more category to go. However, Steve, coming back to you, I would like to know your good, bad and ugly for the Premier League 22-23, which can include Bournemouth if you like.
Right. Okay. So I did do mine based on Bournemouth. So let's start with the. I'm not going to do what I said I was going to do. So let's do the good. So the good for me would be, staying in the league. The fact that we were everybody's underdogs, everybody's written us off. We had such turbulent start to the season, and with upheaval with the management, backroom staff all leaving, and Gary getting given the job. And it has been an absolute roller coaster. But at the end of the day, for what's happened and what we've been through, we've got, like he said, we've reached the mountain, and we've preserved our place in the Premier League, against all the odds. So for me, that is our good this season. Sure, the investments helped at Christmas, with the new owners and the new signings that come in. But from where we were, we couldn't compete. We certainly showed them. So that's my good. The bad, well, I am going to use what I said earlier, was the first few games of the season and Mr. Parker, because I think that was probably pretty much what, I know it wasn't the lowest of lows because we actually won the first game, but I think, what he ended up doing in the style of football we were playing, The words that were coming out of his mouth, it was becoming toxic, and it was quite horrible, really. It wasn't a nice atmosphere. The fans weren't with him, really. He wore horrible cardigans. So that's bad. But I guess you could have that as a bad and a good, the fact that we sacked him. So that was, every cloud and all that. And for my ugly, I'm gonna revert to the Burnley game for this one at home, where we lost, and the awful booing of Lloyd Kelly that poor lad had to endure. And that game wasn't a great game, and we weren't very good on the day. Burnley, however, were cruising the Championship. They were playing a really nice style of football under forget his name. Company. Yeah, playing a lovely brand of football, and we put out a sort of bits and pieces team that day. And unfortunately, Lloyd Kelly came on, was a little bit. I think he'd just come back from a little bit of a knock as well at that time. And he for some reason he played a couple of bad passes, and the crowd turned on him big time in that game. And it was really horrible to be. It was a nasty atmosphere, and I hadn't experienced that at Dean Court for a long time. So, and I think there was a big outpouring on social media about that afterwards. It certainly got a lot of people talking. So, it was an ugly atmosphere at the time. It was an ugly sort of scenario to have gone on through our season, especially at that point, because I think, that was we weren't cut adrift at that point. We were still okay. I think it just was a pure fact that it was Burnley that we're supposed to beat them. But poor old Lloyd Kelly bore the brunt of that, and it was a shame because it wasn't his fault. So that's my ugly.
And like we spoke about Chris Mepham getting over a bad moment, I think Kelly can hold his head high. We didn't win many matches at the end of the season, but he was the one coming away with credit in those losses at the end. So your good is surviving in the Premier League. Your bad is Scott Parker's performance early on as a manager in the Premier League at the start of the season, and then your ugly, is the booing of Kelly. And no matter how bad someone is, it's not really acceptable. And we are going to go into our final category in this awards season 2022-2023, and it's the big one. It's the one every player wants to win. It's your player of the season. And it's my turn to read out the nominations. So your nominations are for player of the season. Number 1, goalkeeper Neto. Number 2, Philip Billing, with all those goals and assists. Number 3, Tavernier. Number 4, Jeff Lerma, who will be exiting the club. He did win the local award. He's in there, number 4. I would just point out at this point that there were about 6 or 7 players we had, but we had to condense it to 4. I'm sure you're going to be frustrated that maybe 1 or 2 are not in this list, but those are your nominations. Get your votes in the chat. And the first thing we do is we check out what our votes were within Cherries Red Army. So Steve went for Philip Billing. Myself went for Marcus Tavernier. Matt went for Neto. Aaron went for Neto. And John also went for Marcus Tavernier. Marcus Tavernier, we signed him for 10 million. Some weren't sure if he could step up to the Premier League from the Championship. It took him a while to get going, John. But once he did kick on and he scored some goals in that Leeds loss and scored against Everton before the World Cup, and then scored some massive goals for us after the World Cup. And I talked about match-winning moments, Wolves, Southampton, get us back in the game against Fulham. And for me, that's where I just tip Marcus Tavernier as player of the season. He has done a team role. He's taken us up the pitch and relieved, stress off the defence. Yes, he hasn't been in enough games, probably. We're going to need him more than we've had him this season. But Marcus Tavernier was a great signing for the club.
Yeah, I think he surprised all of us. He'd be. I don't know whether new signings can be most improved player, but I think he's arguably most improved player as well. If that was an award that we were going to be dishing out as well, it was a very tight one for me between him and Phil Billing. although Neto also gets a shout for me as well. But I just feel as though whilst Phil Billing was very often the full stop on a lot of our moves, he's obviously our top scorer. I think Marcus Tavernier was more influential in the team. And while I think that Philip Billing gets a lot of praise, quite rightly so, particularly early on in the season before he got that initial injury, it was basically if Tavernier didn't play or we really didn't have a clue what we were doing, which I think is partly down to O'Neill's tactics as well, because Marcus Tavernier was O'Neill's plan A, B, C, and all the way through Z. And if Tavernier wasn't on the pitch, you could tell. He was the only one bringing us forward. He was the most dribbles in the league up until the point he got injured. And then even when he got injured, he comes back in, he plays for Wolves for us for one game before getting injured again. He scores the only goal of the game and wins it for us. He just, once he got going in his goals and assists, he just was a train, a runaway train with it. Just kept scoring and getting assists. And the World Cup came at the worst time for him. So yeah, it was very, very close for me. But I just think that just with the amount of influence that he had, just how important he was for us for long stretches of the season when he was fit, I've gone with Tavernier.
That's the case, though, Steve. Surely Phil Billing wants to have a say about this, because his numbers in the Championship arguably helped us get to the Premier League, and he was our top goal scorer. And if we didn't have Phil Billing this season, there's an argument to say we also wouldn't probably be in the Premier League next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it funny that I've come a bit full circle on Phil Billing, whereas I never used to be his biggest fan at all. But this season, I mean, his numbers don't lie this season. And as we've just pointed out earlier, that he's played pretty much most of the games as well. I was just looking at his stats earlier. I couldn't believe that he's like right up there for tackles won as well, and sort of and getting blocks and stuff like that. His numbers are actually ridiculous all around the pitch, going both ways. So for me, and I think he's had a lot of stick. He's not everyone's cup of tea. I get that, because he looks at languid style of play. But where would we be without his? You could take the goal against Newcastle away. You take that away, that's no points there. You take the one at Notts Forest, that's another 2 we lose. And you could probably go through the season and we probably wouldn't have survived without those goals. So I have to say Phil Billing. I know I said the other week, I said Marcus Zanetti, but I was kind of just centre back union for that day. But no, I'm going with Phil, because he's really put a shift in this season, been one of our most consistent performers.
This is close. I'm going to have to tally these numbers up, Aaron, and make sure there's no duplication in votes. We've got to make sure this is all above board. Neto, coming after that 9-0 loss against Liverpool. I wasn't sure about dropping Travers after that moment, but Neto come in. He showed his experience. He showed his calmness. I wish he would catch a few more balls, but he's a great goalkeeper. And look, he took on the captaincy in the end as well. Clearly a great player behind the scenes, and he's been a great player for us, and he's staying for an extra year. And yeah, he's a solid foundation for us at the back.
Yeah, there's an argument for all of them. I think John and Steve and yourself, made perfectly good shouts. I think Tavernier for me was the magic, but he just didn't play enough. And I really just do hope that his hamstrings aren't as dodgy as Junior Stanislas is, and we can keep him fit next season, because we can't just rely on him if he's going to play under half the games. He missed large spells of the season, so hugely influential, but for me, not player of the year if he didn't play enough games. Phil Billing certainly did play enough games, as we found out earlier, and I think there's two ways of looking at it, because I think I've often said when Phil Bill plays well, we play well. When Phil Bill looks off it, we look off it, and that's that really showed towards the end of the season, especially in that Palace game when he just didn't look interested and we were just rubbish. And when he's on it, we're on it. So yeah, Dom Solanke didn't step up to the plate when it came to goals this season. So thankfully Phil Bill did. So that's a massive shout for him for player of the season for sure. But for me, I just went for Neto just over him, because I think it's difficult to tell with Neto, because as a goalie you don't get goals or assists or anything, but what you do get is just that calmness that he brought. I think when Travers got taken out of the team. A few raised eyebrows, but I think we could see straight away what Neto brought to the team. He's an outstanding goalkeeper. He's a leader, hence why he was given the captaincy. And I think with that leadership on the pitch, and then when he was out in the middle of the season, our results were all over the place, and I think that just speaks volumes that we went for another bad spell. And when he came back, we began to improve again. So I think the two go hand in hand. And I think, and this is nothing against Mark Travers, if we hadn't had Neto in, you'd say we wouldn't have stayed up without Phil Bill's goals, which is probably the case. I don't think we would have stayed up if Neto hadn't been in goal all season. So there's arguments for both. Yeah. So for me, Neto just gets it, in my opinion. And obviously, as all thoughts with him, obviously the sad loss of his mother. And hopefully everything's, he's doing okay. But yeah, I think for me, Billing or Neto has to be one of those two.
Charlie's going for Tavernier, just like myself and John. And the goalkeeper union is out this evening. Mark Davies, a very good goalkeeper himself, is also going for Neto. The numbers are being counted. It is very, very close. Quick shout out, John. And Steve as well, actually, and all three of you. Lerma, look, he's not going to be a Bournemouth player next season. Quick shout out for Lerma. Been a great player for us for 5 years. Didn't leave us when we were in the Championship for 2 years. Probably didn't deserve him in the Championship. Always wore his heart on his sleeve. He started to get better from a suspension point of view. He was picking up less yellow cards, no red cards last season. Some big goals, one on opening day as well. John, Jeff Lerma's going to leave a massive hole in our midfield that we're going to need to recruit in.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just one of those players that just because he wore his heart on his sleeve, it was inevitable that the fans were going to warm to him. And I mean, he was exactly the kind of player that I think Bournemouth needed at the time and continue to. He is a player that opposition fans love to hate, and Bournemouth fans love to love. I think he had a period this season where he looked off it towards the start of the season. I don't think he looked quite altogether like he was necessarily even fit for long periods. But then when he really did get back into the old Jefferson Lerma, and we saw not only the tough tackler, not only the aggressive player, but also a decent passer. I have underestimated. I mean, I looked up the stats earlier today on Jefferson Lerma's passing, and I always saw him as a sideways and backwards merchant for most of his time, certainly this year. But he's one of the most progressive passers in the side. Certainly, obviously, because he's played so many minutes. But he had so much quality on the ball. He had that little bit of South American's flair at times, and could always be relied on for a goal now and again. His best season, obviously, for us with 5 this season. With a wonderful finish that's harsh to not be in the goal of the season contenders against Leeds. But he's a player that we will find it hard to replace in our hearts, I think, as much as he will have to be replaced in midfield. But he was a fan favourite, and God, I hope he doesn't go to another Premier League side.
We'll find out very soon. Might be Crystal Palace. Steve, we know what we're losing with the player. More than that, the person, always been a very good person at this football club and for the fans.
Yeah, he has. He's always given his time. He's always had a smile on his face, which is why so many people, love him to bits. I almost put this in my bad bit for the good, the bad, and the ugly. It was just like, it's not so much that he's leaving. I wish him well and he served us well and all the rest of it. But it's the possibility, like John said, that he could be going to a close opponent of our, somebody we should be competing against. I mean, if he goes to Palace, I'll just be absolutely I'm torn to bits. I just don't get that. If he'd gone to Spain or whatever, or a big club who were playing European football, you'd have thought, yeah, every goodwill in the world, Jeff. Go with my blessing, and thanks for everything. But yeah, he's going to be a big. It's almost the heartbeat of the team gone, isn't it? And it's going to be a big hole to fill. We've done it. We've done it before. Jeff was the sort of replacement for Harry Arter, who was our heartbeat for a few seasons. And I'm sure our staff are looking at trying to replace that. That player again. Going to be tough though.
Yeah,
sad to see.
We are going to give the result the player of the season, the biggest award, the one that players all want to win. But Aaron, your final thought on Jefferson Lerma, some really good chat comments coming through about a big position to fill, a big player to replace, big boots to fill. Big job for the recruitment team this summer, because Joe Rothwell's a good player. We know we've got question marks on Lewis Cook, and yeah, it's going to be a position we're going to need to fill with regards to keeping that strength of the spine strong for us.
Yeah, look, the boys have said it. I am majorly concerned because I think, like, putting aside all his off the pitch and how popular he is, and how what a legend he is, which is clearly hard to take when he can leave. And naively, it was a part of me that thought he might stay, and because we are a club on the up. He stuck with us through the bad times when we went down to the Championship for 2 years, and we're only going one direction now. And so it's strange from that, but he obviously wants a new challenge, which I completely understand. I'm with Steve on the fact that it looks like it is going to be Crystal Palace, and that is going to hurt because it's just really, that's kind of my first thought. But I am majorly concerned for us. I mean, forgetting anything else, because he is the heartbeat. He's kind of, whenever he's not in the team or he's injured or he's suspended, we're like, how are we going to get through this game? We can't underestimate how important he is for us. So we have to get that recruitment right. I think that there's really kind of two major positions for me this summer that we have to fill, which will determine how we do next season. That now is clearly one of them, because we haven't got the strength and depth in midfield. Rothwell's good enough. I don't think we've got anyone else who's good enough at the moment to get anywhere close to what we need in that position. So we've obviously got the funds. We know we've got the funds available, and hopefully we can unearth another Jeff Lerma, because we're going to need it. We really are going to need it.
Right, it's time. It's time to announce the winner of Player of the Season, the award that all the AFC Bournemouth players want to win at the start of the season. It's the Cherries Red Army Player of the Season award. That's the one they really want. In fourth place is Jeff Lerma. Thank you for your time at the club, but you are finishing fourth. Number 3 is Marcus Tavernier. Plenty more opportunities to come, Marcus, in the future, but you are third in this one. Drum roll, guys. This is close. Anyone with a drum roll? If you've got a decent drum roll.
I've left my
in
drum
second
outside.
Place, will he be a Bournemouth player next season? Philip Billing.
Jesus Christ.
And
We're going to get one right.
Player of the Season award just is goalkeeper Neto. Now, Neto couldn't be with us this evening, but I did message him. And from a beach somewhere in the world, he sent me a very lovely photo. He was over the moon with his award. Thank you so much, Neto, for your performances this season.
He's on holiday with Tav, isn't he?
Player of the season. It looks like the same beach, doesn't it? And you are the player of the season. So thank you, Neto, and likely to be our number one goalkeeper next season. So thank you for all your votes. Neto is very, very happy.
I've got this image.
Sorry, Heather.
I've got this great image of the whole of our squad going on holiday, just wearing their full kit the whole time.
Yeah, in full kit, yeah. And he's still got his captain armband on as well. He's
like they never get changed. They're just you only ever see them in their kit.
34 degrees, and he's there with his Bournemouth kit on. He loves it. Well done, Neto. We need a final good, bad, and the ugly, I think, from Jon Spark. What have you got?
I've got a Bournemouth one and I've got a Premier League one. Actually, if you want, I can rush through both unless you want just one.
I'll give us just one. Just give us one.
Okay. Steve did a full Bournemouth one, so I'll stick with a Premier League wide one. I think the good is the mix-up at the top end of the table. Your Brightons, your Brentfords, your Fulhams, your Newcastles. Really sort of making a mess of the big six. I'm absolutely delighted for Eddie Howe and Newcastle to get into the Champions League. There are obviously all the bits and bobs politically behind the scenes about that one, but just for Eddie, as an Eddie Howe fan in and of itself, I'm absolutely delighted that he's gone and proved so many of the doubters wrong. And Brighton in particular doing fantastic work as well. And Villa, I should mention Villa. Obviously, they'll be in the Europa League, Conference League next season. The bad is Chelsea, just an embarrassing season, spending more money than any team in history of football in anything ever, and getting significantly worse. Isn't it fantastic? And I would say the ugly has been, I'll go with that there's been more managerial changes in the Premier League this season than any other season. It's getting a bit silly with all the changes, even with the likes of Sam Allardyce being parachuted in for 4 games, getting 1 point, claiming he was just as good as Pep Guardiola, Arteta and Klopp, and running away into the sunset with a 500k payout.
That was for clicks. That was so for clicks.
Yeah, it's well, he needs to promote his podcast.
Yeah.
If you don't know the name of his podcast, it is called
No
No Tiki Taka Football, which is the most Sam Allardyce possible podcast ever. But yeah, I think we'll go with that.
Yeah. And I haven't done one because I was doing all the graphics and I was making sure that we got some photos of Neto on the beach and we got Wutara's message to you as well. So busy behind the scenes, but some really good, bad and uglies there. Now, I do want to take
I've just got one very good one. One more good one, which I just came to my light. Ryan Fraser being forced to train with the under-21s.
That's also a good one. Because someone put in the chat earlier, although Ryan Christie didn't win an award, doesn't mind playing off the left. He doesn't mind playing on the right. And it's easy to make Fraser look. Yes, it definitely is.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, I do want to take this moment to ask you to subscribe to our 1.6K channel. Also, do get your thoughts in the comments if you're watching this back on replay. Hit the like button. Come on, if you hit the like, it helps this video grow over the next couple of days. You've been massive supporters all season, so please do hit the like button. Also, I want to take a massive moment to thank the channel monthly members all season. Some of you have been with us all season. Some of you have contributed through the season. And we've also had one-off donations. We've had one recently. Thank you so much for anyone who's donated one-off, monthly, supported the channel, enabled us to pay for these streams and our admin costs and our equipment to improve the matchday vlogs. So I'm sure everyone in the whole team will thank you for that. Look, guys, it's a moment not to get too teary about it, but I'll go around the room. But Aaron, summarize the season before we start to move focus to next season very, very quickly. It's the end of season awards. We've had a bit of fun this evening with the fans. Summarize your 22-23 season.
Up and down, bizarre, just a really strange season all round. That's with the World Cup obviously in the middle, the excitement of being back in the Premier League, the managerial upheaval very early on. Then I think, the excitement of potentially a new manager coming in with the new ownership, and then everything that transpired with that, and Gary keeping his job, the bad run we went through, then the great April we had. It was really a real roller coaster. I mean, we spoke about some of the top moments, and Forest away, Tottenham away, many others, Liverpool at home. There were some absolutely golden moments up there with some of my all-time great games ever, but then it's absolute rubbish as well. Some of the awful games we've seen this season, like Southampton at home, Palace at home and away. I mean, there were some others. It's just really strange season. But ultimately, we got the job done. We got to 39 points with 4 or 5 games to go. I'm sure if we did need some more points towards the end of the season, we probably would have got at least 3 or 4 more. So ultimately, job done against all the odds. A lot of fans differed throughout the season on various things: who should be in the team, who should be the manager. But ultimately, we got the job done, and I'm incredibly excited about the future with these new owners, with obviously the training ground, the new stadium, and hopefully a really, from the sounds of it, a big spending transfer window, which is easier said than done, but we do actually need it. We do need this team to progress. We need to always advance, as they say, and some, really looking forward to the season. But yeah, overall, job done. I wouldn't say, look, in all honesty, I've enjoyed other seasons far more than this one. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it's my age. Maybe it's my age. I just don't know. But I've enjoyed, other seasons in various leagues more than this one. But we can't complain because we're still in the Premier League next season, and let's move on and look forward to what's to come.
Thank you for all the chat comments coming through this evening. Thank you for all the comments all season and the emails. Steve, project go to every game. You nearly did it. You're going to have another go at it next season. Summarize your 22-23.
Yeah, I was always going to say then, Aaron, you need to take a defib to games now. Is that what it's like? You get into that age where our heart can't take it anymore. But no, my season has been it's been a hard slog, I must admit. Yeah, I didn't quite make it to all of them. I missed out right at the end. Unfortunately, my body let me down, and I missed Liverpool, Saints, and Everton. Everton last game.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my car has aged about 5 years in 1 year. The amount of miles it's done, but it's been like Aaron said. It really has been a roller coaster this season with what's gone on off the pitch and on the pitch for that matter. Because we talk about some of these moments that we've had throughout the season, and I even remember having really good moments in that I remember and recall in games that we've ended up losing. So like when I always remember Leeds away when we were winning that game, and then we scored just after half time to make it 3-1. And there was people running around. It was madness. It just always sticks with me that. Obviously, it then turned into a sour event, but you still remember those highs. And obviously, Nottingham Forest, even going to places like Wolves, and we played awfully that game. And Tav scores off his thigh. In that 1 or 2 games, he was back shortly, and just the emotion. We've won that game when we were on such a crappy run at the time. But yeah, it's been emotional. It's been a hard slog. It's been tumultuous. It's been up and down. It's been everything. And like Karen said, we've got new owners at the helm now, so everything's looking on the up. It's going to be really exciting pre-season. Aaron's going to be a busy man, keeping us abreast of all the news. So yeah, bring it on. Let's see what next year brings, or next season, should I say?
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to Chris for the nice messages in the chat at the end of this stream, end of Ward's season stream. Thank you to Lee as well for that one. And thank you to you, Jon. You've added some extra content to the channel this season. You've been doing watch-alongs. I did say to you, are you sure it doesn't always go well? But you turned it around. You started to get results on the watch-alongs. And yeah, you've
What was your results like, Jon?
Not great at the start.
No, I think it was. I think it might have been the season before as well. I had a similar case where there was when I went to games, wasn't it? It was like we won the first one, and then it was terrible after ever since that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more of those next season. I do plan on getting more watch-alongs in, because it has been. It's been great fun chatting with all the fans joining the streams, and getting some really good conversations going. And for me, I didn't get to a lot of games. I probably would have liked to have got to a few more, but the ones I did get to, there are a couple that I'll never forget in there, and Nottingham Forest being the obvious standout. And getting the odd point away from home as well when seeing those two. Finally got to a home game for the first time in yonks. Unfortunately, it was Tottenham Hotspur at home, so it didn't end great. But I wish I got to the other one instead. But it's been a fantastic season to be a Bournemouth fan in terms of staying up. Like Aaron said, there are definitely seasons I've enjoyed more, but it's been another season of the underdog, and proving others wrong, but having fun where we can along the way as well. And I need to thank the Forest Fan TV lads for setting up Beat the Drop as well, because that was a highlight of every week when I was on those, and has given some ideas for some other content that we can look at producing next season as well, because being involved with other fan channels has been really great. So a lot of stuff that hasn't been on the pitch that I think I've enjoyed almost as much as the stuff that's happened on it. But it's been great fun, and can look forward to another Premier League season next year, and which allows us to be to get those eyes on us as well, and we do want to keep producing that content for everyone, and giving you the second opinion on Bournemouth in the Premier League.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to Matt Davies as well, who's contributed loads throughout the season. I know Jerron has also done stuff for us previously. And anyone who's been a contribution on this in fan debate videos, on match day blogs, thank you very much. And if you've simply hit the like button or commented throughout the season, you are a superstar. Thank you very much. Enjoyed this. We've had a bit of a break after Goodison Park. We've come back. We've had a bit of fun. We've done the awards. There's been some winners. We've seen some photos of Neto on the beach, and it's been good. We'll drip some more videos throughout the next week. We'll have a look at a squad review, and we'll drop a little bit more content, and then we'll start to look at what is next for the Cherries. But thank you, Aaron.
Sorry, who?
Thank you, Aaron.
That's very well.
All season,
pleasure.
I still get it wrong.
I get it wrong every time.
Yeah. I've given up with Steve getting it right. Yeah. No. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure, guys. I look forward to seeing you all. Well, I'm sure we'll do some more videos in the summer anyway. Look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you, Steve.
Absolutely no problem, mate.
No pleasure. No pleasure.
No pleasure.
No pleasure in this.
Thanks, John.
I was still thinking about. I must say Aaron's name right once.
I just did it wrong.
And he's done it wrong again.
What's his name?
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. See ya.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, no pleasure, Kirk. But just something I forgot to mention. We should put it in our goods. If you're watching this, you probably already watched it, but do make sure you check out Ollie Kaye's Ollie May, sorry.
Ollie May,
his documentary on Bournemouth, which
as
as an independent creator that he spent months and months with some fantastic interviews on that. Please, even if you've already watched it, go watch it again, because that is exactly what we would love to see as Bournemouth fans more on YouTube. So please do watch that again.
Thank you very much. Look after yourselves in the next week or so until we drop the next video. We've enjoyed the end of season awards 2022-2023 from me, John, Steve, Aaron, and Dongo Utara.
Happy Cherries.
We'll see you on the next one. Up, Cherries.
Up the Cherries.
Cherries.